So biggest reason then why people lose their focus is because of stress. Living in stress is living in survival. And stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. The stress response is what the body innately does to return itself back to normal. Now, all organisms in nature can tolerate short-term stress. The deer is being chased by a pack of coyotes. The moment the deer sees the threat or the danger in her outer environment, she switches on a nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is going to mobilize 100% of the body's resources and vital energy to survive in that environment. It's not going to go 50%, it's not going to go 30%, it's going to go 100%. So then, when you begin to turn on that stress reaction, the body and the brain get an arousal of energy, a rush of adrenaline, and the rush of adrenaline wakes the brain and body up. And people become addicted to this rush of adrenaline, and now they need the people and the problems in their lives to reaffirm their addiction to this emotion. They need the bad job. They need the bad relationship. They need the difficult situation in their life because it makes them feel something. That means then they become addicted to the life they don't even like. So check it out. The moment you perceive a threat in your outer environment, you turn on that nervous system called the fight or flight nervous system. There's a pattern recognition in your thinking brain, that yellow part of the brain, that signals another part of the brain, that's where the sympathetic nervous system is, to begin to change your internal environment. The signal goes all the way down to the witless adrenal glands, and all of a sudden there's a release of adrenaline. And the release of adrenaline now causes very strong physiological changes in the brain and body. Pupils dilate, you got to see better. Salivary juices shut off, not a time to eat lunch. Heart rate increases, respiratory rate increases, and blood is sent to the extremities. And now the body is prepared to do battle, to run, to fight, or to hide. How many people understand? You've felt this, yes? And in that state, you're in survival. But what if it isn't a lion? What if it's your mother-in-law? And now you're reacting to the same conditions in your environment because you've had some past experiences with your mother-in-law. What was once highly adaptive becomes very maladaptive. Because when you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease. Because no organism in nature can live in emergency mode for an extended period of time. How many people are with me? Does that make sense? And people spend 70% of their time then reacting to something in their life just to reaffirm those emotions. Well, check it out. Because of the size of the human neocortex, we can think about our problems, and we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. You know what that means? If those hormones of stress are addictive, and you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, people become addicted to their own thoughts. And if it's a scientific fact that the long-term effects of the hormones of stress push the genetic buttons and create disease, and you can turn on that stress response just by thought alone, that means that your thoughts can literally make you sick. Begs the question then, if your thoughts could make you sick, is it possible then that your thoughts could make you well? So we took a group of people, 120 people, just like you, and we had them trade emotions like anger, fear, hostility, aggression, competition, jealousy, envy, all those survival emotions, depression, hopelessness, powerlessness, just for an elevated emotion like gratitude, a heart-centered emotion. And we had heart rate monitors on them to make sure that they were feeling those emotions. We measured their cortisol levels at the beginning of 4 days. And we measured another chemical called IgA, immunoglobulin A, your body's primary defense against bacteria and virus. It's better than any flu shot. It is your body's natural flu shot, and it works better than a flu shot. As stress hormones go up, guess what happens to IgA? Goes down. If you're mobilizing all this energy for some threat in your outer environment, there's no energy in your inner environment for growth and repair, for long-term building projects, and the immune system is compromised. So we said, let's trade those emotions for an elevated emotion. We'll have you do this just 10 minutes a day. 3 times a day for 3 days. And then we're going to measure your IgA levels and your cortisol levels. People's cortisol levels went down about 17%. That's pretty good. But their IgA levels went up 50%. Now, if a pharmaceutical company found a drug that was strengthening your immune system by 50%, it would be on every television commercial. And yet, your nervous system is the greatest pharmacist there is. So teaching people how to do that begins to make dramatic changes in their body and in their health. So if your thoughts can make you sick, then it makes sense that your thoughts can make you well. If you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and a leader does this very well, because when a person comes out of the resting state and they can begin to emotionally connect with the leader's future, they will no longer be looking at their future through the lens of the past. They will see a new possibility. And when you combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion, the thought and the feeling creates a new state of being. And a new state of being is a new personality. And teaching people how to sustain that state for an extended period of time, all of a sudden you start experiencing what we call flow, or magic, or the universe working with us, or opportunities begin to all of a sudden start to appear before us. So you keep people living by the same unconscious intentions and same familiar emotions, they will be predictable and nothing will change. So we could say then, if you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you're beginning to change your state of being without something in your outer environment. This is all happening in your inner environment. If you're living by the past, you're creating memories from your outer environment. So then, there are 5 types of motivation that we've studied. The highest form of motivation is called duty motivation, purpose motivation, or what we call mission motivation. It is a vision that's bigger than you. And the bigger the vision that is more inclusive, the more selfless it is, the more a person will be inspired. That is the highest form of motivation. Transforming individuals in order to transform the world or the culture is my mission. I live by that every day. It gets me up in the morning. I can travel for 3 weeks at a time. I don't mind doing it. I come home for 4 or 5 days and I leave for 3 weeks again. That's my life because I'm mission motivated. The next form of motivation is called personal conviction motivation, self-starter motivation, or what we call entrepreneurial motivation. Not the highest form of motivation, but still a high form of motivation. And this is when people say, I'm going to do this because I said I'm going to do it. But people who have a mission motivation naturally have personal conviction. It falls right in line. The next form of motivation is called ethics motivation or morality-based motivation. This is good and bad, right and wrong, positive and negative. This is polarized. When the person is bad, they want to be good. When they're good, they want to be bad. And it's not a very high form of motivation, but a person who has mission motivation or purpose motivation, who has personal conviction aligning with it, they have a sense of ethics and morality. It just kind of falls into place. The next form of motivation is called ego-centered motivation or self-aggrandizement motivation. This is where people doing it for attention or fame or recognition. Not a very high form of motivation, but a person who's mission motivated, who has personal conviction, who has a sense of ethics, will naturally get attention or recognition. And the lowest form of motivation, check it out, is called money motivation. And it is the most selfish form of motivation. And we can spot that on a person a mile away. Would you agree? So now, what is mission? What is purpose? What is intent? The cute thing about this is that purpose or mission is ongoing. There's never an end to it. You could have a purpose to go east, and you will never run out of east. You could have a purpose to be healthy, and you will never run out of health. There's always more health to have. You could have a purpose to be wealthy. There's never an end to that, or abundance, whatever you want to call that. You could have a purpose to gain knowledge and information, and that's ongoing. So then, bringing a vision into reality means that we're grabbing from a world of possibilities and we have to bring it into the world of reality. That it starts with a thought, and when it ultimately manifests, it manifests as matter. In quantum physics, it's called the wave function. The wave of the atom is really where possibility exists. The particle is the collapsing of that energy into materialism. the immaterial to the material, or we could say from a world beyond the senses to a world of the senses. So then, if you have a vision or a purpose, then the next thing to do is to set up goals in alignment with your purpose or your vision. And goals then help us to stay on purpose. And the more you are on purpose, the easier it is for you to maintain your goals. Now, living in a state of creation, there will always be homeostasis. There will be expansion. We've actually measured the electromagnetic field around people's bodies. When they start feeling gratitude, there's an expansion of energy. There's a release of energy. The body goes into anabolism, or what's called tissue repair. There's health, there's regeneration. The elevated emotions of love, joy, trust, knowing, gratitude, those are selfless emotions. This is where people serve the best. This is where they truly serve the best, the ones that are heart-centered. And turns out you can teach that. And we have research to show that whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're sick, whether you're healthy, whether you're a vegetarian, whether you're not, whether you're successful, whether you're poor, it doesn't matter. You can teach a person how to create this type of coherence. Now, when a person's in a state of creation, they have no attention on their body. They have no attention on their environment. They don't even be thinking about time. They're transcendent of their identity. That is the moment now, that transcendental moment where they're in the creative state. And living in creation is when you forget about yourself. That is the moment you're truly creating.